When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
Now, for years, English and French, there's been that notion, Canada, a bilingual country, but the 2021 census, shows the decline of the French language as the majority of Quebecers now understand English. It's the first time ever the majority of Quebecers understand English. And because of the decline, many are asking about the future of the French language in Canada and whether bilingualism in this country is doomed. Mario Polèse is on the line, professor at the INRS at Université du Québec. Mario, welcome to the show.
Hello. It's a pleasure.
Let's talk about this. You recently published something in Policy Options with the headline, Is Bilingualism Doomed? So when we look at the Canadian ideal of a bilingual Canada, is that notion doomed?
Yes, I'm afraid so. If you're talking about all of Canada, C to C, the data shows, unfortunately, that outside Quebec, that's the important point, that outside Quebec, bilingualism is either falling or stagnating.
And when let's talk about the stagnation in the rest of Canada. Tell me more. What do the numbers say?
The numbers say that since it was going up, after the Official Languages Act back in the 60s, it was going up and up, bilingualism, and in the year 2000, it stopped going up, and it's now slowly going back down in the rest of Canada. So less and less people proportionally are bilingual in the rest of Canada. It's already not very strong. It's below 10%, but it's falling even more.
So, Mario, when you mention, since the Official Languages Act, and then you mentioned growth and where we reached before it started to fall, it seems to me like all hope is not lost. If you can actually have an Official Languages Act that's got some teeth, that pushes Canadians to be bilingual, can't you stop that slide and turn that trend around?
Well, it would be nice if you could push people to be bilingual. The problem with pushing people to be bilingual is if you're going to learn a language, let's say you want to learn German or Hungarian, you're only going to really learn it if it's useful, okay? If you're going to use it. And in Quebec, here, you probably speak French, and most people speak French because it's useful. You have to use it if you want to get ahead. In Quebec, it's pretty useful to speak French. But if you live in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, British Columbia, and so on, unfortunately, it's not terribly useful to learn French. And increasingly, Francophones, even in Quebec, as you just mentioned, learn English because English has become more than just a language. English has become a life tool. And with the internet, it's, young Francophone Québécois learn English not to please the federal government because it's needed. It's the language you use around the world.
Well, it gets that word useful, right? Usefulness here, right? So English is useful in Quebec. And so I guess it leads me to this question, Mario. Is there a way to make French useful in the rest of Canada?
With some exceptions, especially in the Acadian regions of New Brunswick, where there's a really, strong French majority. In most places, it's an uphill battle, and I wouldn't be too optimistic. All the more so, since in most cases, and the data is very clear, Francophones speak English. Okay, so why learn French to communicate with other French-speaking people if they've all learned English anyway? Okay. So with some minor exceptions, it's really an uphill battle outside Quebec.
So can I ask you if you have any opinion on what that does for national unity? If you've got a population in Quebec that, wants to feel like their language is respected across the country, Where does that lead us? If what you say is true, where does that lead us?
It's not the end of the world. In my article, I cite the Swiss example, where in the end, in Switzerland, bilingualism doesn't mean that everybody across the country speaks the two main languages, which are French and German, is that each has its own area, okay, where they can feel at ease. So the fact that Quebec will, in a certain sense, be the only truly bilingual part, where most people speak both languages and the rest of Canada, one speaks English, it's no longer the dream that Pierre Trudeau had, of course, but it doesn't necessarily mean the end of Canada.
We're with Mario Polèse, a professor at the INRS at Université du Québec. We're talking about bilingualism in Canada. So, Mario, let's take the view here in Quebec. That number, which is so interesting now, that a majority of Quebecers, 51-point-something% of Quebecers, can now speak English. Mm-hmm. And I've heard it from the CAQ, right? I've heard it from the provincial government. And they feel that if Quebec becomes bilingual, that Quebec will then lose French. If everyone's bilingual, then meetings at workplaces will turn to English and other things will turn to English, and they'll lose that aspect. Do you think there's an argument there to be made? Do you think when the government uses that argument, they've got a point?
You and as I know that francophones, we can even say we are sensitive to the fact it's a minority language in North America. Okay, so once we've said that, so there is that sensitivity. Okay, once we go past that, is the fact that one is bilingual. In any case, now anybody in any sort of superior job, whether it be university or in business, has to learn English. Doesn't mean that it becomes your language, the language in which you dream, speak at home, go out and shop and speak with your friends. Mm-hmm. If I take, again, another country, which I know well, the Netherlands, almost everybody in the Netherlands with even a slight education speaks English. But it doesn't mean that Dutch people are going to speak English to each other. And the Dutch has disappeared. The Dutch are very proud of their language. So it's a new challenge, I would say, for French Quebec, is to live in a world where English has become the lingua franca of the world, and especially of technology and the internet, where we want our kids to learn English, but that doesn't necessarily threaten French. It's a challenge. I'm fairly optimistic.
And let's just briefly talk about immigration here, because that comes part of this equation as well. When you look at the demographic weight of Canada, it is very interesting. Quebec accepts, per capita, a decent amount of immigrants. You take a look across the world, they accept an exceptional amount. But Canada, the rest of Canada, they accept even a higher percentage per capita here, right? So long-term, Quebec's weight demographically is declining within Canada. How important is that?
It's certainly important, but the question is, what can you do about it? Mm-hmm. I mean, that seems to be an almost irreversible trend. At some point, it's going to stabilize, but I'll be long dead. But clearly, that for the foreseeable future, if Canada, by that I mean the rest of Canada, continues to accept immigration at the rate that's currently being, proposed, it's inevitable. It's written in the stars. Quebec's percentage will go down. What that means in the end, I don't know more than you do.
Mario, we have to leave it there. I want to thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Mario Polèse is a professor at Université du Québec, and he's recently penned a piece for Policy Options. Simply put, it's called "Is Bilingualism Doomed?"